views and opinions expressed in this broadcast are those of the host/guest and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any of BXR entities and those they represent.
Welcome to another week, another episode of Living a Rich Life. I am your host, Rich James. Here on Living a Rich Life talk show, we inform, inspire, and encourage each other to live the principles of Living a Rich Life Network. Those principles are good health, strong relationships, financial freedom, goals and achievement, extraordinary experiences, and philanthropy. This week, we are talking the business of being an entrepreneur with two amazing guests. So we all have a story to tell. So with that being said, let's talk about it. Our first guest, what shall we say about our first guest? He's known for connecting clients to their goals using creativity, skill, and acute ability to just see possibilities, but to take an action to create profitable realities. Please welcome founder and chief strategy officer, and hopefully I get this right, Goldiata Creative, Mr. Brian Taylor.
Pleasure to be here, Rich, and you nailed it. Got the company name spot on.
Okay. So first, thanks for joining. I appreciate you joining the show today. Tell us the name. Tell us about the name. How did you come up with that name?
Yeah, it's a really interesting name because it's something I never thought I would come across in real life. And in 5 years of owning this business, I came across the reason and the meaning behind the name for the first time last Tuesday, which I'll explain in a moment. So when I first started the company, I really wanted to have a really cool logo that's going to be kind of like a lion with a little crown on its head. But I didn't have the design ability to do it. So I looked up different meanings for the word lion and found that in some traditional African languages that diata, so like D-I-A-T-A, translated to lion. So I kept digging and then found that the founder of the Mali Empire, his name was Sundiata, which literally translated to Lion King. Like, I got something here. And then I really tied the gold to the front of the whole thing just to like bring in that element of royalty. So it translates to gold lion. And for the first time last Tuesday, I actually met a guy playing basketball whose name was Sundiata. So,
oh wow,
coincidence.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. I always like to ask when I interview folks that start their companies, what kind of made them come up with the name, right? I think living a rich life is pretty straightforward. I incorporated my name, but that's interesting. I like the story behind that. So let's kick it off first. So where are you originally from?
Yeah, so I'm originally from Severna Park, Maryland, and live in Baltimore, Maryland now.
Okay. And I know right off the bat, folks generally like to know, because again, we're all about Be Exposed Radio. We're about inspiring and motivating folks. So I want to get that out right the way before we start talking about your company. So what motivates, inspires you?
Oh, that's a big question right there. I think the main thing is really just figuring out ways that I can give back and make a difference, whether that's through business or whether it's outside of the business. I think my overall goal in life is figuring out how do I take some of the things that I've been blessed to receive and share those blessings with other people. So that's really the big motivator for me every time I go to bed and I'm praying or when I wake up in the morning. It's just thinking about, one, being grateful for the opportunities that I have to share with people, but also just looking out for those opportunities that I can contribute.
Okay, that's what's up. So tell us about Goldiata Creative. Tell us what services do you provide? Again, I'm quite sure that motivates you and inspires you. Tell us a little bit about your organization.
Yeah. So we're a digital marketing agency here in Baltimore. So our primary service is we basically make those ads that are creepy and follow you around the internet. It's like the best way to describe us. So those online advertisements, we build websites, we help websites perform better. And our overall mission, again, similar to, kind of what gets me to wake up in the morning, is about amplifying positivity. So while we, run online advertisements and you may not directly think marketing agency, positive impact on the community, our ethos is really evolving around how do we help organizations that are making a positive difference? How do we amplify those efforts that they're doing?
Nice, nice. So what does a typical day look like for Mr. Brian Taylor when it comes to his organization?
Yeah, typical day, there is no typical day. I would say for the most part, it's a lot of encouragement, communication with my team members. So it's started to shift a lot in terms of as we've grown from a one-man show, being myself, to a 9-person team, where before my day-to-day was a lot of like typing on the computer and making things happen for the account. These days, it's more about how do I lead and train team members on a daily basis to enable them and encourage them to achieve success as well.
One of the things we pulled up surrounding Goldiata Creative, and I don't know if this is your slogan, but help us out here and tell us, how does this affect your company? What does it mean? We help business grow online smarter and faster. What can we take away from that?
That is a great question. So I think what I would take away from that is inevitably through that statement, what we're kind of sharing is that a lot of businesses are not necessarily set up for digital marketing in the way digital marketing operates in 2023. So one of the main things that we do, and one of our core values, is the idea of smarter, not harder. So while it may feel like in order for an organization or a business to grow, that there needs to be some large effort in order to push those things forward, we're really looking for the smartest way that we can go about achieving not just a short-term success for our clients, but something that's sustained and can last multiple years, basically.
So speaking of clients, I know you have a pretty extensive list of clients. I know Hopkins being one. I don't know if I could say these names out here, but you got some pretty heavy hitters from a brand standpoint. Let's talk about this upcoming week. We got CIAA. Tell us, did your organization reach out to those folks to see what you can provide services to them?
Yeah, we had a really interesting opportunity for CIAA in collaboration with Visit Baltimore. Essentially, as we know, like the CIAA tournament coming here to Baltimore, just an opportunity for us to help with the advertising and promotion of those efforts. So really that idea of how do we get not even just more butts in seat, but I think one of the big opportunities that the CIAA brings to Baltimore is it brings people who may not necessarily have had a lot of exposure to the city previously to the city. So that advertising opportunity was, it sounds cliche to say, but it was really bigger than basketball in the sense of how do we promote not just the CIAA tournament, but Baltimore as a city and increase that kind of brand reputation.
Okay, all right. Yeah, that would have been a really good look. But I know, like I say, one thing leads to the next. So for those that are just tuning in and listening and watching, we are talking with Brian Taylor, the Chief Strategy Officer for Goldiata Creative, and we're talking entrepreneur business. So what's some of the things that you have in the pipeline for your organization?
Yeah, a lot of really exciting things in the pipeline for us. And I'll talk more about kind of what is happening behind the scenes versus, these clients, that client.
Yep.
Because I think one of the really exciting parts about being an entrepreneur is that we can see what's happening with our businesses before the world sees what's happening with our businesses. So, for example, when we were a team of 3, I would tell my 2 employees, hey, this is going to be an organization where we have 20 employees. The outside world doesn't necessarily see what we're cooking, but trust and believe that we're cooking something special. And now here we are 2 years later, and we have 9 employees. And, it's a completely different perspective. We get invited to do shows like these. Before, I don't know if I'm getting invited to the show. So yeah, we're doing a lot of things to really shore up our operations. And again, kind of coming back to this idea of amplifying positivity, I'm really excited because we're doing a lot to make those goals about making an impact tangible. So our big goal is in 5 years between now and the next 5 years, to donate $250,000 to various charitable organizations.
Okay. I always ask my guests 2 questions, and these are like standard questions. One, from an individual perspective, what's your superpower? And then the second question is, what does living a rich life mean to you? So let's go with the first one. What would you say is your superpower?
My superpower, I would say, is it's one of the two. I'm an Aries, so I would say like stubbornness is a big part of that. But I would also say like I have an ability to get very obsessed with things. So even when I was in high school, I always wanted to be an NFL football player. And I was so obsessed with sports that it led me to like a Division I scholarship. And now that obsession has kind of shifted to the business world. And part of being a successful entrepreneur, you have to have some level of crazy. So I would say that crazy and that obsession is kind of a superpower for me.
Okay, all right. I'm a probably co-sign on that. Got to have a little crazy, I definitely agree. And then the follow up is, what does living a rich life mean to you? Because as you heard my introduction, those 6 things is how I live my life, and I've been doing that for the last 6 years, and then kind of been the opportunity to come on Be Exposed Radio and share that message. And like you said, it's not work for me. This is fun. I enjoy the folks I work with. So those 6 things, that's what living a rich life means to me. What does living a rich life mean to you, Brian Taylor?
Yeah, that's a big question. I mean, I'd be lying if I didn't say money was not part of living a rich life. So I think getting to a point of sustainability, so to speak, and having a little bit less worries there is part of it. I'd also say finding meaningful contribution, which I think was philanthropy was one of yours. And I think whatever it is that, it resonates for people or is passionate with people, whether that's education, homelessness, civil rights. But I think having something that you're passionate about, a big part of being living a rich life. And I would say spirituality. And again, I think that can mean different things to different people. I think for some people that means religion. For others, it's, about reflecting on yourself and being able to look into that mirror and kind of have a good relationship with yourself. But I think those are my 3 pillars if I had to pick them out.
Okay. In terms of, let's share with our folks, our audience, regarding how they can get in contact with you, how they can get connected with your organization. Can you share those, I guess, your social media, email, things of that nature?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the easiest ways to get in contact with us is to Google search us. If you type in Goldiata, which is the word gold, GOLDIATA, you will find nobody other than us because the name is so unique. So if you would like to find our website, our social media channels, you do a quick Google search for Goldiata, and it's GOLDIATA. You will find all of our socials, you will find our website and our contact information that way.
Now, in terms of balancing your schedule, because again, one of the things, we do have some fun. So we're going to play a quick game in a minute because it is Black History Month. But in terms of your schedule, how do you manage your schedule? So, being an entrepreneur is no easy task. How do you manage between personal and professional and things of that nature? Now, because you look pretty young there. So, but how do you balance your work personal life?
Ooh, I mean, that's ongoing. Like, I would be lying if I said I haven't managed absolutely perfect. But I think one thing that I've come to, I guess, understand is that a balanced life isn't necessarily balanced. meaning at any given time, you will be out of balance, whether it's you recently had a child and you're spending more time with your family, or you're an entrepreneur and you're building a business and you may spend more time there. But what I've started doing is working backwards from the things that I don't typically cut out or carve out time for. So, for example, like exercising, I'll start by putting that on my schedule first, or I'll mentor high school students. So, like, that's on my schedule so that I know the preparation around that. So, I think that mentality shift from, I'll use vacation as an example. I'm going to take a vacation when work slows down. You are never going to take a vacation. But if you
Facts.
plan your work around that vacation will actually happen.
Facts. Okay, so this is a fun part that I enjoy about Be Exposed Radio. So it is Black History Month, right? So we're gonna do a little famous first challenges when it comes to Black History Month.
Okay.
And we're gonna help you out because we're gonna give you multiple choice, right? So stay with us here, right? So this is our first challenge question, right? First African American to serve in the United States Senate.
Okay.
Was it A, Ralph J. Bunch, B, Jackie Robinson, C, Nat King Cole, or D, Hiram Revels?
What was A again?
A was Ralph Bunch.
It's D.
D, okay, Hiram Revels. Excellent, very good. Ding, ding, ding. First African American millionaire invented black hair care products. A, Madam C.J. Walker. B, Hiram Revell. C, Thurgood Marshall. D, James Meredith.
Man, I thought it's gonna be Madam C.J. Walker, but I thought, who helped her out? I thought the woman who she stole the idea from became a millionaire first.
Well, she ain't on the list. So Madam C.J. Walker. Okay, all right. We're gonna give you another one here. Now, you might be too young to know this one, but we'll see. The first African American to be on a U.S. postage stamp. Phyllis Wheatley, Booker T. Washington, James Earl Jones, James Meredith.
This is a complete guess, but I'm going to say Booker.
Booker is correct.
Okay.
Yeah, see, I was thinking you too young. Y'all folks don't use stamps now.
Nope, I do not.
Oh, goodness. All right, well, I'm glad you know some Black history. That's always good to see when the younger kings know their history. That's good. Our next guest, we're gonna ask him some questions too. So that's gonna be fun.
Well,
I want to ask you this question. In terms of your clients, what's some of the challenges that you had to handle when it comes to dealing with some of your clients? What does that look like?
I think the biggest challenge is trying to translate Spanish into English. So we're saying the same thing, but we're saying it in two different languages. So I think with digital marketing, there's a lot of acronyms, there's a lot of verbiage that can get lost in translation, or we may be speaking at a level that's very PhD. So I think that's where a lot of our challenges stem from, is our team taking this PhD language and bringing it down to 5th grade so that we can be on the same page with communication.
Okay, so yeah, marketing, communication, those things are hand in hand. So I thank you for sharing that. There's never enough time. Brian. I want to close out with you in terms of what would you like to share with our audience? Any advice that you like to give, but what would you share with our audience in terms of being an entrepreneur, starting up your own company? And I heard you're 5 years in now, went from 2 to now 9 members. What advice would you give to individuals, entrepreneurs?
That's a fantastic question, and it changes depending on what day of the week you ask me. Okay. But today I will say having faith that things will continue to improve, and I would say having faith in yourself more than anything else. So just knowing that what you're doing will eventually churn out results if you're putting together good things. I spoke in a class at Morgan State one week, and one of the interesting things was a kid had a question, and he asked me, Brian, was that really true that for the first 2 years you made $0? Like, yeah, like I didn't make any money, but I kept going. So I think that idea of faith and in yourself and having perseverance is critical.
That's what's up. So there you have it, folks. Brian Taylor, founder and chief strategy officer of Goldiata Creative. Thank you for joining. Thank you for sharing your story. Stick around and listen. Drop any questions. Next, we have up a very special guest. He's appearing for the second time. So thank you again, Brian. We're definitely going to connect. But in the meantime, in between time, I'll talk to you again soon.
Yep, I'll talk to you soon.
All right. All right, folks. Thank you. We just had a quick interview with Brian Taylor, again, the Chief Strategy Officer for Goldiata Creative, a digital marketing company. Been in business for 5 years, and I'm looking forward to seeing what's next for that organization. Again, they doing some good things just from the research that my team did, and I enjoyed that conversation. But we're going to keep the show going because, again, this is Be Exposed Radio, and we want to expose you to another guest who has been on the show before. Our second guest, known for providing extraordinary experiences with events, no pun intended. Something coming up very recently, it happened last year, Bort Week. With the CIAA coming in town, he's part of the Center Court Baltimore movement, known for the Ram and Bull event, which is a classy, fancy event, the Nude Affair, Summer Black, the Sorbet event, Silent Beach, the Morgan Bridge Fest. I can go on and on and on in terms of this gentleman, a good friend of mine. And he is appearing on Living a Rich Life talk show for the second time here on Be Exposed Radio. Please welcome one of the East Coast, and I said it, the East Coast most sought after entrepreneurs and event producers, the founder of Events for Good People, Mr. Azikiwe Deveaux.
Good brother, Rich James. How are you, brother?
I am better than amazing, Zeke. How about yourself? How are you doing?
I'm good, man. That was a very impressive young brother that you just had on, Brian. I wish him all the best. And he is so far ahead. I'm so glad that he is pursuing his dreams. And I hope he knows that, I know when you're ambitious, you always feel like you're behind. But I hope that brother takes some time out to celebrate his milestones because he's already achieved a lot.
Absolutely. And the one thing I love is, we had an opportunity, all of us, to talk. And I'm looking forward to connecting with Brian and have him connect with you and, again, participate in some of the wonderful events that you have, because I think there's, again, an opportunity there. And, that is one of the things that I do is connect people. Again, like-minded people, and he's definitely open to hear suggestions and recommendations. And I think that's something that, you've provided to me and you'll be able to provide to him. So, but since we got you on here for the second time, good brother.
All right.
Before we even get to some of the stuff happening in the coming weeks, I want to know, because again, you've been in the game for a while, Zeke, what excites you about being in your industry of event planning, event producing? What excites you?
New experiences, and that doesn't mean it has to be new far as the concept, but maybe a new way of doing an old concept. So I'm, almost as excited about helping to produce it's like the 10th annual Black, White, and Gold event coming up March 12th. Just as excited about that as I am about this first annual Center Court coming up, CIAA weekend. So, talking with my partners on Black, White, and Gold on how we can make that event new and fresh is exciting. The ideas they have and we share. And it's just as exciting to talk with my partners on Center Court about, how to further to create, this experience that hasn't been done before. So it's a blank canvas, and that's exciting too. And although I love collaborating, my preference is to partner, if you know me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also excited when I get an opportunity to kind of be have an exclusive project, like Board Week. So I'm excited about that too, because I know pretty much, I have sponsors, of course, to be accountable to, and the CIAA host committee and downtown partnership as far as the creativity and how it's presented and developed. That's exciting too, to have something that can just come out of my head and become a reality. So
and this is the second year of Board, right? I mean, that was your concept last year. You bought that and got that started.
Yeah.
And it's been a pretty successful. You want to run down that Board Week for us? Can you do that for us?
Sure. So last year, Board Week started with the Monday before CIAA and ended with the Sunday of the CIAA weekend. So this year it's going to shift up one day and start with the Sunday before CIAA week and then end on CIAA Saturday. So it will start February 19th and it will conclude February 25th. Very excited. We have, last year, I think we had 8 restaurants. This year we have 9. We were able to
own restaurants.
Yes. And you know what? I'm glad you pointed that out, Rich, because I want to take an opportunity to use your platform to highlight some key information about Board. Because of course, every year people say, well, why isn't my favorite restaurant on the list? So, how come this one, why come,
Mm-hmm.
That's a little Coming to America Part 1, why
Yes.
preacher can't have a nice car, But anyway, I always get the questions about restaurants that are not on the list. So I want to take this time to highlight probably the top 3 reasons why your favorite restaurant may not be on the list. One is our footprint. Our goal is to target restaurants that are within a 2-mile radius of the Baltimore Convention Center. So if you Google your favorite restaurant and, do driving directions or however to figure out the miles to the Baltimore Convention Center, you will find some of the restaurants are outside of that 2-mile radius. Now, if somebody is 2.1, we're not going to be, the goal is to try to include as many people as possible. But some of these restaurants have been questioned, they're 3 miles, out there, a mile outside of the targeted radius. And that's a little bit further than what Board's vision is. Another popular reason is they're not 100% Black owned, which is nothing wrong with that. But as Board's vision is to support restaurants that are 100% Black owned, because there are some benefits when you partner with someone who is not of color that give you, some advantages that restaurants who are 100% Black owned do not have. And again, Board Week is about supporting these Black owned restaurants who are struggling with the high rents in many cases of the downtown footprint that we're targeting. And a lot of times the lack of resources that we have as people of color that others have access to. So Board is chosen not just randomly. These requirements are based on the challenges that these restaurants have shared that they face. So 2-mile radius of downtown, 100% Black owned. The other top reason is Board is about dine-in restaurants. So a lot of people, have recommended carryouts, and if it's just 3 tables in there, it's that's still a carryout.
Right.
Nothing wrong with that. Some of my favorite places are carryouts. Sharif had a carryout downtown that the chicken is like the best. But carryouts typically do not have the same challenges as the dine-in restaurants. And again, Board is about supporting those Black-owned restaurants that have, the most obstacles in front of them, essentially, in many ways. So we're looking for dine-in restaurants that could seat at least 75 people, so that they can accommodate the traffic that we'll be bringing their way. And those are, I would say, the top 3 reasons why sometimes your restaurant is not selected. It's just not in the proximity. There is a non-person of color that has part ownership, or they don't have enough seating, and they're not dining at all in some cases.
Okay. All right. Well, there you have it, folks. 3 reasons why, if your favorite restaurant did not make it onto the Board Week roster, we just gave it to you. Location, 100% Black owned, and the atmosphere in terms of dining. Right, it's not a carryout; it's actually dining.
Right.
So I want to
to answer your question, the list. Drum roll, please.
Monty, can we get a drum roll, Monty? Hand clap.
So we're starting February 19th, and the kickoff ribbon cutting stop will be at Deveaux Cafe, 9 a.m. From 9 a.m. to 12 noon at Deveaux. We'll start with breakfast there Sunday, February 19th. That same day at 5 p.m., 5 to 8, will be at Black Swan for early dinner, evening experience. That next day, February 20th, that Monday, we will be at Bar One with my good friend Peter. And then on Tuesday, the 21st, we'll be at Magdalena. Now, in case folks forget to read, Magdalena is going to be a semi-formal event. So if you plan to join us on that Tuesday of the Board Tour, a dinner jacket is required. For those who don't know, that's a blazer. Blazer is required, semi-formal to be safe. That is Tuesday, the 21st. Wednesday, the 22nd, will be with our good friends at Remix. We would definitely want to support that stop. Remix was the ribbon cutting last year. The late great part owner there, Trevor White, was a big part of encouraging and inspiring Board Week. So want to support that Wednesday, the 22nd. And then Thursday, the 23rd, will be at Poppy Cuisine. A lot of the ladies' favorite for some reason. Ladies love Poppy Cuisine. We got to figure out what that's about. What do they put in their food? And
well, that's a favorite spot of mine, Zeke. So that.
Oh, okay. Well, you love the ladies, so I figured,
Yeah, hush your mouth. Hush your mouth.
So then Friday, this is another special stop on the Board Tour. Friday, February 24th, we'll be at Hoodfellas. And Hoodfellas is a special stop because Hoodfellas was not on the roster for the first Board 2022, but they attended several of the Board stops. So that was very impressive. That they were not only patient and a good sport about our limitations to get everyone in the first year, they actually came out and supported. I think they were the only non-roster restaurant to attend. So big ups to Hoodfellas Bistro. That will be Friday, the 24th. And then the last day of Board Week, Saturday, the 25th, we'll do breakfast. And you heard it here first, because we actually didn't put it out there yet. But we were able to squeeze in one more restaurant. And I'll tell you why in a second. So Saturday, February 25th, will be at Bort's latest and newest edition, Swill. Swill Cafe, Saturday brunch, 9 a.m., Saturday breakfast, I guess you could say. Swill is the official and final addition to 2023. We did receive your messages and your DMs, and we will be adding some of those as long as they fit the criteria to 2024. But the last addition to 2023 is Swill, and that will be Saturday morning from 9 a.m. to noon. And then the final stop on the board tour that same Saturday, February 25th, will be Unity. Unity was on the tour last year as well, and they opted to stay on board, and we're excited to have them. So that'll be the last stop on the board tour.
Okay. So one of the things I appreciate and love about you, Zeke, you're very organized. So as you know, entrepreneur, major event producer, you know, family man, how do you prioritize your work? Now, I ain't talking about the family, because we know family's a priority, but how do you got all these things? You got the Board Week, you got CIAA, which we're going to get to in a few minutes. How do you prioritize your work schedule?
Well, I'll say, as we talked about earlier, a big part of what allows me to do what I do is having strategic partners. So, you know, you want to partner with people who are leaders within their own right. And once, you know, you agree on the vision, they have the capability to move forward with or without you being present. And so those bright strategic partners is key. Also, I try to space out my events. I try to give myself about 30 days in between events when I can, to as far as the planning of an event. You know, sometimes you are working with events where you don't have control of the date. You know, so for example, CIAA, you know, before CIAA, I used to do an event around Valentine's Day. And so that would give me 30 days approximately until Black, White, and Gold. But then when CIAA came around, it's like homecoming, you know, we don't have control of the date. So that shortened my window between events. But typically, if you look at Black, White, and Gold, and then Ram and Bull in April, and then doing Afro Preak in May, and Nude in June, and Summer Black in July, and Sorbet in August, they're all about 30 days apart, which gives me time to recoup, recover, and, you know, give specific attention to what's coming up next.
Gotcha. So, folks, once again, we have Zeke, Events for Good People, one of the major East Coast, as I like to say, sought after entrepreneurs and event producers. Feel free to chime in if you have some questions. But right now, I want to get into the CIAA.
Oh,
so let's do it. Tell us about this whole Center Court Baltimore experience. What can folks expect?
Center Court, I'm super excited. My strategic partners on this project are LeBron Finney and Derek Chase, as well as many others. Nike Robinson from Black Girls Vogue, Lynn from Uptown Magazine, Sassy Shots, Earl Bannister, Malika. I know I'm forgetting somebody, and they're gonna Reagan, Inkwell. Who else? I mean, it's really probably it's dozens of people who are working and contributing to making Center Court what it has been envisioned and mapped out to be. Mm-hmm. So, what is Center Court? CIAA traditionally had a kind of a central place where people gathered and congregated, and there were activities and the space in Charlotte kind of allowed for that. So the facilities in Baltimore required us to be creative, and big shout out to the committee on how to utilize different appropriate spaces to reach all of the goals of the tournament, socially as well as financially. It's still a goal to raise money for these schools. Mm-hmm. But Center Court, attempt is to create that meeting place where we gather, and create a vibe where this is where we're chilling. We're gonna go to the games, CIAA games. We're gonna go to some stops on the Board Week tour. We're gonna go to some of the shows, step show, and but in between all of that, when we just want to kick back, watch a fashion show, patronize some vendors, on a patio and have a cigar and listen to some music, get a cocktail, and just kind of chill. Center Court is going to provide that during the day from 12 noon to around 5 or 6 p.m. So for 3 days, for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So Thursday, during that 12 to 5 period, the main focus will be the Black Hair Expo by Malika, which will be highlighting beauty and hair, and it has a lot of Black-owned beauty and hair product vendors that will be present that we can all support, as well as those day party vibes we just talked about. There'll be a DJ there, and cigar space and hookah space, and bars set out by Sassy Shot. So that all of that will be going on Thursday from 12 to 5. And then Thursday night in the evenings, we will have ticketed events. Okay. So these will be another option of great parties for folks to attend Thursday night. We're doing something that was done last year at the Cross Street Market very successfully. The biggest MF and happy hour. So I didn't come up with that name. So that will be Thursday night with DJ Tons and Super DJ Big L. That's going to be a really great kickoff. We have a lot of Bowie alumni that are part of that, so they're excited to kind of kick off the weekend that Thursday with us. So that's going to be really nice Thursday. And so that'll be from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. Mm-hmm. And we'll call it a night because we got a long weekend ahead of us. And then Saturday morning, that 12 to 5 period, we're going to have a series of fashion shows. One at 3, one at 1, one at 3, and one at 5. So that will be Friday during the day. Friday during the day will be Earl Bannister. For those who know, he is legendary in Baltimore and beyond for his fashion shows and his designs. So Earl Bannister will be producing that. We'll also have some of our more familiar clothing brands present, like Cashland, City of Gods, Motions, Screwed. And so that's going to be fashion and style during the day on Friday. Also, again, with that day party vibe of the bartend, bars, hookah, cigars, and DJ. And then Friday night, we got my main man, Quicksilver. and on the wheels, and my man DJ P Drama. So P Drama and Quicksilver is going to be bringing some of his castmates from Love and Marriage DC. So Joy Carter and Jamie Tyler will be joining him and hosting that night, along with the Hoop Dream Team. That's will be Friday night, and then finally Saturday during the day, Nike Robinson with her fantastic group of young ladies, also known as Black Girls Vote, will be producing a summit about teaching young ladies how to be more involved politically and galactically. Some great stuff. And then the final closeout party on Saturday night from 8 to midnight will be Uptown Saturday Night. And Uptown Saturday Night, we are bringing back that original CIAA vibe. And for those who know, the biggest CIAA parties were SNS, DJ SNS, and Nick Storm. So for those who know, we have DJ SNS and Nick Storm. Some coined DJ SNS Mr. CIAA. He was, synonymous with CIAA was SNS. And so people are excited about that. A lot of people coming from out of town. In addition to some of our local favorites, DJ Kibi, the Bearded Drummer, and Larry What Up are going to be doing their pre-show to SNS's performance. And it's going to be great, man. Excited about CIAA. I know I put a lot out there. You can get all of that information at centercourtbaltimore.com. And if you didn't get a chance to hear everything I just said.
Okay. Well, that's perfect. I mean, I think that's a good segue to kind of close things out in terms of the CIAA movement, right? So it can go to CIAA.org. Yep. And far as the Center Court activities, they can go to centercourtbaltimore.com. Okay. So there you have it, folks. Just laid it out for you. Also, my bad, you can also get information at visitbaltimore.org. Yes. A lot of key information there. Yes. So before we close it out here, we had a little Black History trivia. Oh. Go on, have some fun. We're gonna have some fun with it before we close it out, because it is Black History Month, right? All right. So here we go. First African American to publish a book, poems on various subjects, religious and morale. Was it Hiram Revell, Thurgood Marshall, Phyllis Wheatley, Jackie Robinson? First Black book published? Yes, to publish a book, poems on various subjects, religious and morale. And what are the options again? Options are A, Hiram Revell, B, Thurgood Marshall, C, Phyllis Wheatley, D, Jackie Robinson. All right, Jackie Robinson played baseball. He's out. Thurgood, Baltimorean, from what I understand, definitely judge, Supreme Court judge. He's out. So now we're down to A, Hiram Revell, and C, Phyllis Wheatley. I was wondering when the dog was gonna make some noise. Right, I try to lock him out. I'm gonna go with the sister. Phyllis Wheatley, correct. Okay. All right. So first African American Supreme Court justice. We already addressed that. My man Thurgood. All right. Okay. And last and final question for our Black History Month trivia today. First African American to go into space. Madam C.J. Walker, B. Hiram Revell, C. Guion Bluford. It's too easy. D. Thurgood Marshall. What was B again? B was Hiram Revell, and C. Guion Bluford. I'm gonna go with B. C. 1983.
I didn't know that one, but I do know the first Black governor of Maryland.
Yes. I'm gonna need you to get out my head. And this is Black History Month. I love it. So we want to say shouts out again to the first African American governor in the state of Maryland, the third in the country, my guy, Wes Moore, my guy, Zeke's guy, Wes Moore. So big shouts out. Again, Black History Month. We want to make sure we point that out. And it only happens here on Be Exposed Radio. Just
right.
to be clear.
That's right.
So, next up is Living a Rich Life closing remarks. So Zeke, you're going to stick around for closing remarks right quick?
Certainly.
All right, cool. So again, I want to thank both of my guests for joining here on Be Exposed Radio on the Living a Rich Life talk show. And this is Living a Rich Life closing remarks. Black history is American history. Today's closing remarks are brought to you by Black Americans and their impact on America's history, culture, and promise. You don't have to think about doing the right thing. If you are for the right thing, then there's nothing to think about. Maya Angelou, I know why the caged bird sings. Again, thank you, Brian, for sharing your story. To my guy, Zeke, thank you for appearing once again on Living a Rich Life. If you have an inspiring story to tell, you can reach us at beexposedradio.com. You can shoot us on the website, livingarich.life.net. Until next week, I want you to continue to be inspired to live a rich life. This is Rich James saying goodnight, and thank you for tuning in to Be Exposed Radio. I wouldn't have it any other way. Good night.